Chris, the gaming librarian, and I am coming with you, or coming at you, with a new episode of Gaming Narratives, where I run through fun little interviews, either solo by myself, as you can see today, or with friends, family, and strangers to talk about some of their favorite video gaming moments, whether it's their first video game ever or a video game that meant a whole heck of a lot to them in their gaming life. I love hearing sort of people's own narratives with video games, how they've interacted with them, and how it has gone on to further influence their gaming choices and their gaming careers. Now, this is one of a few solo ones that I'll be doing because I've interviewed a few of my friends and my wife in the past about their gaming narratives, but I thought I haven't done any for myself. And so last week I took the time to explore one of the first and most influential, I would say probably the biggest influence in my gaming career, and that was Pokemon Red. And so that goes for the entire Pokemon franchise, but Red is where it all started for me when I was 8 or 9 years old. At that time, I said I would take the time to sort of go through different console generations and explore the games that really were the most pivotal to me throughout that time. And eventually, I will start with the original generation of consoles that I actually began my gaming career with, and that will be the Sega Genesis. But I'm going to hold off on that one until I really want to do something special. Oh, hey, Chris. Thank you for checking in, and nice to see you. I hope the barbecue is going well and that you're enjoying it. So, just talking with Walkabout Games. Finally, we have nice weather up here in Western Canada. The heat wave has subsided a bit, and so it is not crazy deadly outside. So, Pokemon Red was where I started off with, and this week I'm going to explore sort of that generation after. And oh, tasty steak. Good choice. Well, I won't keep too long. I'll let you go enjoy the steak. Thank you for checking in, and it means a lot. And so, backtracking. My apologies. Frame of mind. You gotta love monitoring the chat and then trying to keep the narrative going in your own head. So, Halo is one of those ones that stood out to me as being a very monumental game because it's what introduced me overall to first person shooters and what they could be. Now, this wasn't to say that I hadn't played first person shooters in the past. You can ask any of my friends who had an N64. I spent a ridiculous amount of time playing both GoldenEye and Perfect Dark. And it's hilarious because I'll go back to the N64 with rose tinted glasses of nostalgia, try to sit down and play them going, I was a pro at these games in the past. And then you try to play on an N64 controller, and it's nearly impossible. But Halo was the one, and shout out to Mythic Tyrant, whose Halo video I'm going to be playing. So it's the Halo Combat Evolved full campaign and cutscenes. So I'm going to play a little bit of this, and also to IGN and Michael Schwame over there for capturing the Halo franchise, and I'll be switching over to that video in just a couple of minutes. But Halo was the game that absolutely stood out the most to me. And so, walking about games, Halo is awesome. First game my son knife killed me in. Yes, knife kills, tea bags, anything that you could think of as a teenage boy or a young 20 something happened in this franchise. And it was monumental for that fact. You just need to go back into the history of first person shooters to see that leading up to this point, you had games like Perfect Dark and GoldenEye on consoles, and you had Siphon Filter, which was sort of a third person shooter of note on the PlayStation. There really wasn't a first person shooter game on a console that really impressed people. Everything that was impressive, Quake, Doom, Wolfenstein, those were all on PC. And everyone thought, wait, this could not exist on the console. And suddenly Halo came along when the Xbox launched in 2001. Yeah, teabagging, I cannot uh, recount the number of times I've been teabagged. Now, that being said, I have done my own fair share of it in turn when I did get awesome sniper kills in Blood Gulch. Um, I will fully admit to that. Though those days are behind me and I am more mature about my excellent KD rate if I ever do get that in a first person shooter game. Though often when I'm playing Call of Duty, totally suck now. I'm hoping with Halo Infinite coming out that those skills may make a return, but we'll see. So this game came out in 2001. I was 13 years old at the time, and it absolutely blew my mind because my friend sat me down. We were all in middle school and said, Chris, we picked up this game called Halo. My friend Phil was the one, if I'm not mistaken, it was my friend Phil, who was the one with the Xbox. Said, come over, we're going to play this multiplayer game, and it's 4 controllers. So you're not limited. It's just like the N64. Play this game, try it out. And at first, I thought it completely sucked. I had no patience for it. I thought, this is a boring story. This isn't colorful. This doesn't have sort of the bright colors that Perfect Dark did. It wasn't an RPG like Zelda, and I was full on into RPGs at that point in time. It wasn't even Pokemon. It was just a boring, bland shooter. But that being said, the thing I will give Halo is that, well, it may have seemed like a generic shooter at the time. It was the memories that I associate with, playing through the campaign with my friends. How many times on Legendary did we play through that campaign over and over and over again, to the point that we knew every corner and nuance of Halo Combat Evolved like the back of our hands. On top of that, Halo Combat Evolved was one of the first ones to just feature local co-op. There wasn't any online, there wasn't an Xbox Live at the time. Now that I'm a little bit older and I've listened to a bit of the history of Halo, I do understand now that if I were a PC guru at the time, I would have known that there was backdoor routes that you could take to get Halo A running on a PC and B having online connectivity with other players. But at the time, I was 13. I didn't have a computer. My friend had the Xbox, and I certainly didn't have internet at home. So to be able to go over to my friend's house, sit down, order 2 large pizzas, each of us having a 2-liter Coke amongst us, and just playing multiplayer with one another was a blast. Not to mention when everyone else started getting Xboxes, and suddenly we're like, wait, we can now connect 2 Xboxes together with an Ethernet cable and have LAN parties? And what? There's 2 TVs in my friend's house? Yes, please. And so we hopped all over the opportunity to do this. And Halo is Combat Evolved. I will give it credit for being the game that got me into first-person shooters. I had discredited it for a long time, but it was Halo that got me into the genre and really enjoying it. I would say it probably influenced my future gaming choices. I think the next most influential first-person shooter after Halo would have been Call of Duty 4 on the 360, but that wouldn't have been until many years later. I think Call of Duty Modern Warfare, the first one that came out on the 360, didn't come out until 2007. So you had 6 years of me, Halo, and only Halo being my main shooter of choice. Now, as you can see playing in the background, just the nostalgia that runs through my veins when I see this playing through. And it was really funny because at first, coming from the N64, nothing was inverted. Everything was up, down was down, and then left, right. My friends, bless them, had inverted controls. So up would be down, down would be up. It's now how I play. It's the only way that I can play in games. And funny, some of my friends who forced me to play inverted are now the ones who will pause, Halo 5 when we're trying to play together, or we'll get together to do an old school LAN party, and they'll pause it and go back and change it back to non-inverted controls. And I go, "Are you kidding me? Seriously? You're the one who got me on this train to begin with. So no backsies on that one." But that initial orientation phase where you're looking at the lights, I definitely remember having to pause the screen, go in until finally I said enough was enough. I'll just play with inverted controls, and I got used to it. And so Halo was the game that we probably put the most amount of hours into. And so naturally, skip forward a couple of years, 2004, I'm 16 years old, have my Xbox. I've been having a blast with it. I've played Halo. I've played Rainbow Six 3, which was another big first-person shooter that I got into at the time. Project Gotham Racing, absolute blast. And I hear they're going to release a Halo 2. Now, the reason Halo 2 stands out to me, so finally it was online multiplayer. That isn't to say that we still didn't go up to my friend Phil's place and play a ridiculous amount of Halo 2 in person, because that's what you did. Not everyone had Xbox Live, and you needed that decent internet connection. So, sometimes we would play online with our little headphones on, but for the most part, we would still hang out together. But Halo 2 stands out to me because it was my first midnight launch, back when those were a thing. So, I'm Chris, if you're still watching along, I'm not sure if you want to chime in if you ever saw a or attended a midnight launch for a video game. But they were just these wonderful events that took place, and you'd go to the mall. So I went to my local mall. The store would open at midnight for the game release, and of course, me being 16 and nothing better to do with my time, I would finish school right away, take the bus, sit outside the mall, and if you were lucky, you had a couple of friends with you so that you could each take your turns going off to use the bathroom. One or two would scout out while one stayed behind, and you'd go and get pizza from Little Caesars and some soda, and then you would backtrack it and sit back down in place. Some of you had Game Boys, and you would, link up the connector and play Advance Wars or Mario Kart. And you would wait for the release of the game. And so Halo 2 was probably my fondest midnight release night. I had done a few. The 360 and Gears of War releases were some of my favorites. But with Halo 2, it was that iconic metal steel case that you got with it that I will never forget. It was one of a kind. I still have it to this day. It sits on my gaming shelf. I'm sure I have it kicking around somewhere on there. But to dig through it, I think would disturb the order of things on that shelf. So unless you want to hear a loud crash, I won't drag you through that. But I'll bring it out at a later time, because it is my hope that for gaming narratives, later on down the line, once newborn baby has settled down a bit, to sort of dedicate some gaming narrative episodes to getting my friends together and us playing through some of the Halo campaigns, or at least some of the top moments of it. But yeah, Halo 2, that iconic silver case, silver blue, or iconic Halo blue, and the 2 on the front, and Zanzibar. Who doesn't love the Zanzibar map? Were some of my favorite memories. So I'll switch over to the IGN video by Michael Schramm. That is just summarizing the Halo saga in 22 minutes. So don't mind if it hops around a bit. And credit to IGN's Michael Schramm for this one. So Halo 2 was sort of the game that I associate with being my Halo. Halo 1 was one I played with my friends. It was an experience that they showed to me. Halo 2 is where I got good at the game. Suddenly I didn't suck. I picked up the skills, because I wasn't only playing with them all the time. I was playing online, I was playing with random people, I was learning how the game worked and ran. And of course, it was the first game, if I'm not mistaken, to introduce like really steady expansion packs and the separate disc that you could buy that would give you just the download key and install for the map packs. But Halo 2 was the one where I really got good at the game and quite enjoyed it. After that point, Halo 3 really it still stands out to me. And so Halo 3 came out in 2007, so I had my 360. I just finished high school. Again, did midnight launch for that one. Had a blast, but it sort of lost that vibrancy, um, just because everyone was, you know, busy going off to college. But we still got together, still mainlined that campaign on Legendary several times with my friends. But at that point, it was sort of a balance between, okay, if we're getting together for a LAN party, we're either going to do Halo or we're going to do Gears of War. This is also where Castle Crashers comes up, for example. So I'm pretty sure if you go through past gaming narrative episodes, and my friend uh, Cliff, Ashton, and I are all talking about the infamous night of playing 6 hours of Castle Crashers straight because I said, "Oh hey, there's a cool game, play through it, just an hour, and then we can go to bed." And then suddenly it was 6 o'clock in the morning, and we'd beaten the entire thing. That was because on the big screen we had Halo playing. On smaller screens we had Gears of War, and then on the smallest screen I had loaded up Castle Crashers, and then suddenly we transferred that over to the big screen. But Halo 3 was sort of, I know everyone says it, and they critique 4 and 5, and it's not to say that 4 and 5 weren't great. 4 and 5, I love the campaigns, I love the multiplayer in 5 and what they did with it. I really enjoy the twists and turns in the campaign that you found in Halo 4, but it just didn't capture the same essence that 1 through 3 did. And those were probably the most monumental to me. Of course, I have Halo to thank not only for my love of first person shooters and since then playing a whole ton of Call of Duty. Titanfall was actually probably the closest thing that I'd had to really capturing that essence of all things, of what I really enjoyed about Halo, of what I really enjoyed about that frantic, hectic, fast paced first person shooter that you sometimes get, but was also strategic. I got that in Titanfall and Titanfall 2. If you haven't had a chance, play the campaign for Titanfall 2. 10 out of 10. Absolutely perfect. But not only did Halo inspire me for first person shooters, it also really inspired me for, of all things, real time strategies. Uh, in the past, I had played strategy games. Final Fantasy Advanced Tactics is going to have to be a game that I talk about at some point in time because that was a monumental strategy game that got me into the franchise and the genre as a whole. Halo and Halo Wars, both 1 and 2, are some of my favorite RTS games, so real time strategy games on console that ever exist. It's fun, it's in the Halo universe, you know everything that's going on, and man, does it ever kick butt. Kicks almost as much butt as the OG pistol from Halo 1. Yes, I said it. That pistol is like a god tier weapon that I don't think any other weapon since, aside from maybe the BFG and Doom and the Rhino and Ratchet and Clank, which I'm currently playing through, can compete with. But Halo Wars was an absolute blast. Got me into a genre that I didn't think I would ever get into. And it sort of opened a new light for me in terms of the Halo franchise. Now, hot take, and I know not everyone will agree with me, but my all time favorite Halo game, aside from the ones I play with my friends and really enjoyed, I have to give credit to Halo 3 ODST. I know it's not everyone's favorite cup of tea. It is a shorter campaign than what most of the other Halo games were. And at the time when it came out, really the big selling point for it was the firefight mode, that co-op experience where you really had to work together to take down uh, the Covenant was a big selling point, and all of my friends played online. For me, it was the campaign. The uh, film noir, dark detective. You don't know what the heck has happened. You're just tossed in to the story right in the middle of it, and you have to backtrack. And as you're walking around, what is it? Oh heavens, the name is escaping me. New something, not New Mozambique. New something, New Zanzibar. I could be mistaken. My apologies in advance for those watching. Going, Chris, you should know the name of it. But as you explored this city torn to ruins by the Covenant and the flood and everything that's been going on, you get these flashbacks to what happened to your team. And I absolutely love that. Now, Halo Reach, everyone will argue it has the best campaign. I cannot disagree. It was fantastic, but to me, really, it was Halo ODST that stood out the most to me. Now, to answer my own question, why would I recommend Halo to someone in 2021? Well, aside from Halo Infinite coming out this holiday season, and Xbox is still on track for that to come out. They're not changing their minds, and really, Halo Infinite being potentially what I think for many will be a starting point and a new jumping point for those new to the franchise and for a new generation. It's been 20 years since Halo Combat Evolved came out. There are now children and babies who were born in 2001 who are now 20 somethings who might be getting into Halo for the first time ever. And I'm hoping Halo Infinite will be a good starting point for them. But outside of Halo Infinite, why would I recommend this franchise to people in 2021? Because it's an absolute classic. I would rank it up there with Doom, Wolfenstein, Quake, Half-Life. You have this epic saga. You have a huge storyline that is rich in lore. One of the most powerful weapons ever conceived in video gaming. And it's just a storyline that like it. There is nothing more satisfying than sitting down with four friends all in the same room with a box of pizza in front of you and going, hey, we're going to spend the next 6 hours, the four of us, just playing through this campaign and having a blast. Because that is what you're going to do. It is unadulterated fun, and you're going to have an absolute blast playing it. Now, Halo, I know, is going on 20 years old. I cannot wait to see what the future holds for it. But what do I hope to see from Infinite? Well, they've shown us the multiplayer. And, honestly, while I've seen nothing of the campaign, if the multiplayer is any indicator, Halo Infinite is going to be a return back to what it should be and what made Halo games Halo games. And so I'm hoping to relive that four-person co-op experience together. But if you have the chance, watch the multiplayer sort of overview and preview for Infinite. It looks absolutely amazing. It looks fast-paced with that bit of strategy tossed in. And yeah, honestly, if you have an Xbox, if you have a PC, and with the way Game Pass is going right now, if you have Game Pass Ultimate, you can download cloud gaming on your phone, whether you're an Android user or an Apple user, and play this game on your phone. Truly, it's an experience that everyone should have. So, it's been 25 minutes. I feel like I rambled enough about Halo, but this has definitely been one of the pivotal gaming franchises in my life to really play an impact in who I am as a gamer, in what kind of first person shooter games I play, and really my biggest introduction to the genre of first person shooters. And overall, my introduction to sci-fi. I know a couple of weeks back I did Let's Plays. I talked about it on Gaming Narratives with my friends that I was playing through Mass Effect. Mass Effect was one of the most memorable games for me in terms of old school RPGs. Well, I have Halo to thank. If it wasn't for Halo, if it wasn't for playing Halo with my friends, that then convinced me, oh, I absolutely need an Xbox in my life. Foolishly sold my GameCube for it. Shouldn't have done that, but sold my GameCube nonetheless. But got the Xbox, played Halo, and went, okay, this company can tell one heck of an amazing sci-fi story that, you know, can blow my mind. And then to see Mass Effect, well, I can definitely say Halo didn't only influence me as a shooter fan, but also an RPG fan and just an overall gamer. So, while this is playing in the background, I will give a heads up. So this is probably going to be my second to last gaming narratives for a little bit. So I'm hoping next week to bring my friend Kat in later on in July. So August, early September, I'll be coming back in with more gaming narratives, with more Let's Plays, with more games or new game reviews, and also intro to gaming and libraries. I will not be going away forever, just taking a small hiatus, but just to give a heads up that this is just around the corner. And that being said, thank you to everyone, and thank you, Chris, for tuning in today at Walkabout Games on twitch.tv. And thank you to everyone in the future for watching this segment and my second solo gaming narratives talking about Halo, the Halo franchise, and why and how it has influenced my gaming narrative. Keep an eye open though, because in future segments of solo gaming narratives, I will probably be exploring other games for each generation that deeply influenced me. And keep an eye open because the Sega Genesis, that was a gem. I don't think there's only going to be one game. So keep an eye open for that one because it's going to be a treat. And on that note, this has been Chris the Gaming Librarian talking to you. Another episode of Gaming Narratives. And please feel free, check in twitch.tv/Chris the Gaming Librarian. There's a link to my Discord if you want to be a part of Gaming Narratives. If you feel like you have an interesting story to tell about your first game or your most memorable game, reach out to me, give me a shout out, say, hey, Chris, I'd like to join you because I would absolutely love to have you on and to talk games. All right. Have a great night, everyone. Enjoy your long weekend. Happy Canada Day to my fellow Canadians and the Americans watching out there. Happy Independence Day as it is July 4th. And for those around the world, happy National Day to you when it does come up. And yeah, hope you all have a great day, night, whatever it is in your part of the world. And this has been Chris the Gaming Librarian signing off.